Is armed mutiny 2.0 going to happen? Because Wagner announces its future plans and starts relocating back to Russia. In response to that, Putin increases his personal security, and to make things worse, Ukraine finally entered a key city in the south. But more about all of this in just a couple of minutes. What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. And let's get to the point and talk about some ridiculous Russian propaganda. So long story short, here is this kids playground, and some Russian local authorities decided to install this windmill with the Russian and I guess Belarusian and Soviet flags. But if you take a look at the formations of these flags, they kinda look some prohibited symbol. Something what allegedly is Russia fighting in Ukraine. So it does look like that in order to defeat your arch enemy, you have to think like one. And statistically, this is one of the best ways to fight against your opponent. Oh, by the way, speaking about statistics, so things got a little bit better, but still 53.8% of you guys are not subscribed. So I'm gonna sit here for however long is needed, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, until you all watching subscribe. Please do it. Just one click, just like this video and subscribe to my channel. And also my birthday is coming next week, and I decided to do another free giveaway for you guys. So feel free to follow my Instagram for future details. The link is down below. But okay, now let's talk about another friend, quote-unquote, of Putin betraying him. Then I'll give you a very quick update from the south and the east of Ukraine, and we'll finalize everything with this situation around Wagner. And so yes, in this first picture you can see an American combat vehicle M113 with installed Turkish module SARP duel. And so yes, the only logical question here is, wasn't Recep Erdogan, the president of Turkey, supposed to be the friend or at least neutral towards Russia? So what do these combat modules doing on the side of Ukrainians? Is this another betrayal of Putin? How many more friends is he gonna lose? And speaking about more obvious Western support to Ukraine, the United Kingdom reported that approximately 1,000 Ukrainian Marines have already finished training, which is specifically focused on crossing water obstacles, such as rivers. For example, the one in Dnipro. And so another 900 Ukrainian soldiers are still being trained as we speak. This will be extremely useful in the further liberation of the left side of Kherson region. Right, and before going to the east of Ukraine, we just have to make a stop in the capital of Russia, Moscow, because some very loud noises once again have been heard last night. And first of all, in one of the local districts of Moscow called Odintsova, a local beer storage was spontaneously got caught on fire. To be honest, I don't know about you, I never knew that beer is extremely flammable. Just let me know in the comments if you knew it as well. But to be honest, this idea is very questionable, which is presented by the Russian propaganda. And then the following morning, yet another allegedly Ukrainian drone has been intercepted within Moscow. The local authorities said that there was no damages at all, but as you can see from this video, something definitely ignited. And as we move closer towards Ukraine, for the very first time since the beginning of this war, a couple of Russian officers will be criminally prosecuted for them not being able to intercept some missiles back in last year, which led to the total destruction of a military unit and elimination of some personnel. And I mean, yes, of course, Russian air defense system is absolutely inferior, they cannot intercept drones which are flying literally towards Moscow. Who are you to blame? Some couple unknown officers, which basically means they will both most likely go straight to jail. Right, and now as promised, an extremely quick update from the east before going to the south, and then we'll talk about Wagner. And so, first of all, according to the report by the Institute for the Study of War, Once again, Russians tried to advance along Kupiansk, Svatovo, Kreminna front line, and as for now, there are no reported and confirmed gains. None at all. But at the same time, Ukrainians were able to destroy an assault group of Russians along with their armored vehicles to the west of Kreminna. Our next stop brings us to Bakhmut, and so believe it or not, but in just last day alone, in the last 24 hours, Ukrainians using simple $300-400 drones were able to destroy or critically damage 4 ultra-modern battle tanks of Russians T-90Ms. This is just absolutely incredible how such a small investment can deplete Russians from millions of dollars worth of equipment, and the video is truly brilliant. You just have to see it yourself. The full version, you know where to find it, it is on my Patreon, the link is down below, there is still 1 week of free access. And yet another tank of Russians along with their assault group has been destroyed in Klishivka. Truly the worst day to be a Russian tank soldier. Going all the way down to so-called second Bakhmut, the city called Avdiivka, Ukrainians reportedly were able to destroy a Russian multiple launch rocket system located in Yasnavuta. And then we have even more videos from the eastern front lines, which show us extremely precise work of Ukrainian drone operators, when they're able to throw these grenades through the smallest cracks in the grounds where Russians are hiding. And I mean, you can guess the outcome. But wait, there is more, because Ukrainians continue to use guided smart munition JDAM to destroy the fortified positions of Russians, as you can see from this video. Right, and now as promised, let's go to the south for the similar quick update, and then in just a couple of minutes we'll start talking about Wagner. But first of all, unfortunately, there has been yet another Russian missile Kinjal in Prikarpatia region which struck a residential area. Unfortunately, there are casualties. And these missiles are still extremely hard to be intercepted. That is why in the last 24 hours Ukrainians were only able to intercept 1 out of 4 of these Kinjal missiles. Then we once again refer to the report by the Institute for the Study of War, which claims that the main combat activities in the south, as of right now, are happening in the western Zaporozhye region. And as we make a quick stop in Kherson region, Ukrainians reportedly were able to ambush a convoy of Russian military equipment which was going away from Vilna, Ukraine. Going back to Zaporozhye front lines, we have an extremely important statements that Ukrainians reportedly were able to enter finally a key city in this area called Rabotyne. At this very moment heavy fighting is happening around this city, that is why this map is not yet confirming the liberation of Rabotyne. And as we move to another major front line between Zaporozhye and Donetsk regions, reportedly Ukrainians were also able to destroy an assault group of Russians located in Urozhaine, and then also started advancing closer to the city, both from the north and from the west. And yet we even have even more videos, including from the south, of Russian military equipment being completely obliterated. As you can see, for example, from this video, when a Russian multiple launch rocket system completely disappears. And ultimately a couple more multiple launch rocket systems called the Grad of Russians, located along Zaporozhye front lines, were completely annihilated, which looks like from this video was something like a small nuke, because after that there was literally nothing left in the entire radius from these machines. And yeah, all the full uncensored versions of all this footage as always is on my Patreon, link is down below. Alright, and so now it's time to talk about the main topic of the video, something we all came here for, because Wagner announces its future plans and starts returning to Russia. So the question is there a possibility for another armed mutiny 2.0? And as of right now, the answer is probably. But for those of you new here, just the quickest summary possible. So back in June, whenever there was armed mutiny against Moscow by Wagner, Wagner was sent to just exist in Belarus, and Russia tried to make everyone forget about this. And throughout these couple of months, almost, President of Belarus Alexander Lukashenko was making countless claims that Wagner becomes uncontrollable and it might start marching against Western world, such as, for example, the closest country, Poland. In response to that, Poland created a special unit to repel this potential Wagner attack, and then even the US said that as long as there is any attack against NATO land, entire NATO alliance will respond. Then there were even more claims that Wagner will try to do some kind of provocation against Belarus to try and force Belarus to join Russia in this war. And for example, one of the most recent ones is this fire on Mazyrsky oil refinery, which, by the way, the Security Council of Ukraine has been warning about that this might happen a week before the actual incident. So it is very suspicious timing. But then even more unexplainable things started to happen. For example, Prigozhin registered a new business, Concord Consulting and Management, in Belarus, that's right. So, like, literally, I could not think of any potential reason why would he do it, so just please let me know in the comments what do you think. But then something even more interesting happened. We received this video from one of allegedly higher officials within Wagner hierarchy, and he is basically saying that all this is just the beginning. He then also claims that this March of Justice they did in June, it basically showed the complete unpreparedness of the Ministry of Defense of Russia to respond to such a level of threat, and that Wagner in fact had a big support from the regular Russians, especially those opposing Putin's regime. For this reason, he urged his fellow Wagner supporters not to just give up on Wagner that easy, because its story continues. And just a couple of weeks after that video, guess what happened? It has been reported that approximately 500 to 600 Wagner soldiers, they started leaving Belarus and returning to Russia. And the official explanation of why this is happening, it is because the president of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, he did not want to pay for Wagner having them on his soil, and neither Putin wanted to pay for this private military company. So they just decided to go back home. Even more soldiers were dismissed from their positions, but they were asked to be in touch, because most likely Wagner will activate once again at the end of August, whatever it means. But as of right now, Wagner is, yes, it is still present in Belarus, as you can see from these both satellite images. One is from August 1st and another one is from August 9th. But then it was also once again announced that there will be a second round of departure back to Russia on August 13, which is this Sunday. Because after all, if you think about it, there was never a peaceful resolution between Prigozhin and his arch-enemy Sergei Shoigu and Valery Gerasimov. They never officially shook hands or even appeared in the same place at the same time. So, long story short, after that armed mutiny back in June, Wagner was sent to Belarus and promised that Belarus will take care of them. And now, as you can see, Alexander Lukashenko, he does not want Wagner either. So Wagner has all the reasons to resume their rebellious activities. And what is the reaction of Putin? Well, he is obviously extremely concerned for his future and how Wagner private military company can affect it. And besides that, Putin drops us another major hint that he's extremely scared, to say the least, because on August 4th he signed a law to equip Rosgvardia with heavy weapons. And this Rosgvardia is basically his private military, which is protecting mainly just Moscow, Kremlin, his residency and all this kind of stuff. So I mean, all the signs point in one direction, that Wagner is planning something. Wagner is up to something big once again. I mean, he simply will not do it with no reason, right? So just please let me know in the comments what do you think. And in case another armed mutiny 2.0 happens, I will make sure to be one of the very first ones on YouTube to report on these events. So if you don't want to miss them, just please consider subscribing to my channel, it only takes one click. The best way to support my channel, hundreds of uncensored footage and early access to daily episodes, can be found on my Patreon. You can unlock channel perks by becoming my channel member or simply just use a PayPal link. Everything can be found to the right and down below. Thank you so much for your attention, товарищи. Please follow me on Instagram. Beware there are scammers in the comments, and see you on Tuesday.